Hey guys, welcome to the 12th part of Black Squad Criminal Organization. And I'm Klaus, but spoiler for the kids, I'm actually not Klaus.
Yeah, thanks Klaus, my friend, for recording the intro. Thank you, much respect. Check out Klaus Grills. The link is down below, of course. Well, you gotta have a little fun on the channel too. Well, yeah, come on. Arrive at the harbor. There's another roundtable talk. I can't listen to it anymore. I don't even want to know how you're doing. Yeah, the clubs are talking, arranging everything. 1,000 rules. We're calling. We call each other, and then someone can't manage to call the other because of sensitivities, because I don't respect him. We don't do that. We didn't do that back then. We've been around for 30 years. They've only been around for a year and so on. So why gather? Why meet up? Well, one thing is clear. All of this, these are the nails in the coffin for this part of the scene. You don't need it. Maybe it works somewhere else if people work together as equals and so on. But here it absolutely didn't work. Unnecessary. Arrive at the harbor. It doesn't get any more respectful than that. Yeah, it doesn't matter what kind of club you are or who you are. And one thing I have to say, we never let ourselves be impressed by that. Also, okay, what do you physically represent now? Especially not this thing like, yeah, we've got these vests now, and then when someone stands there and tries to make themselves look big and whatever else, that was never a thing. That was never an issue. That never impressed me or anyone else from the club. It was always just about these violent guys. Losing control, crossing boundaries, that was more important than showing off. That's also the danger with violence, because you always get better at being violent, always more radical, always wilder. You lose more and more empathy, you cross boundaries, seek extreme experiences and so on, and then you totally lose control. So first the question, where is he? Where is the president? Where is the president? Yeah, he's back there. I told 2 guys, I said, you come with me. The others were scattered around. They weren't standing in a group. They had their motorcycles lined up at the harbor, but they weren't really organized. But they saw us coming, and the mood wasn't like, hey, let's share a banana split with them. It wasn't like that. And I went straight to the president, wanted to say hello, but I said, no hello. I said, phone's broken. Why? I said, prepaid, not paid. Why? I said, you come into the city, drive in here, and I said, our secretary or I, nobody got a call. You didn't announce yourselves. Yeah, we don't really like this announcing thing anyway. Like I said, yeah, but you were involved in that. We decided this here for the region, that if you, wait, is this hitting hard now? Comes in, she's afraid to speak up or something. Anyone who rides a motorcycle alone somewhere, I have to register in the city where another club is. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, the amount of phone calls, definitely. Maybe I was overly sensitive to signals being sent to me. Yeah, like if someone got snippy with me, I could always be snippy back over and over. I have to repeat it so often because I was always the one who used the wrong tone, was always arrogant, condescending, a know-it-all, but I was very sensitive when others acted that way toward me. And then it's like, yeah, man, we're all here now, eating fish sandwiches and ice cream, and in an hour we're gone again, and I can't just call them every time, like, we're going further to the coast, and they say, yeah, that's important to us, but it doesn't work like that. What's the point? And then it's immediately this attack mode, hashtag I know some people will relate. You really want things to explode. And you have to imagine, it's a Saturday afternoon, 3 o'clock, the harbor in Wismar, packed full. Shout out to everyone. It's become really nice, and especially nice since I left. Packed full, families, kids, and so on, and we're totally in a fighting mood. Actually, we wanted things to get wild, and then to go through with it, and then, come on, we end up at another meeting where we talk again, like, why did you guys lose it again? We thought, okay, then let's really solidify it now. And that's where a violent person, like I was and the others were, is just waiting for some kind of legitimation. So, the supposed victim or opponent, you never know how it would have turned out, is now giving me a reason to go through with it, giving me a reason. Say something stupid, give me a weird look, do a somersault I don't like or anything else, and I'll freak out. And they already saw that our mood was really bad. really bad. And now here, they had heard before what happened, what Blick Juniors did with sharing. And they thought, from the stories you hear, that's how it is in circles of violent offenders, or that stories are sometimes made a bit bigger than they actually were. Yeah, so 3 beer, 3 shots, the act is 3 times bigger. I slapped someone, he flew 3 meters, and then I took on 8 at once, and then bing, bang, bong, and you can't always take that too seriously. These things happen, but sometimes there's a bit of fiction mixed in, let's put it that way. And they saw, okay, this is already getting serious here. We were standing at the ice cream shop that used to be there. I don't even know if it's still there. And then slowly a few from the Born to Be Wild's group came over. We were already standing there and had already picked up the ashtrays with our hands and said, "So what's up? Why didn't you call? Aren't we important enough as a club? Are you looking down on us or what?" When I asked like that, people already had to. I'm expecting, I actually want to get a dumb answer to that. And if you don't have someone who can de-escalate from the gut or catch it and not react to it, then you can be lucky. Because my question was already like, so are you saying you didn't call because you don't respect us as a club because of who we are, or what? Yeah, what do you think? Because you used to come here, because you've been doing this for 10 years, doesn't matter. Now there's a new club here and there are new rules. Then you're already standing there and you actually want him to say it, to say, yeah, who do you young guys think you are? Or you're Nazi crap or whatever. And then you hit right away. When I work with young people in a de-escalating way and try to de-escalate, I want them to get a sense that the potential perpetrator wants some kind of justification. You can get out of that situation if you pay a bit of attention to how you lead the conversation and say, yeah, and you see, okay, so it's different. Perpetrators can sense and smell that violence is about to happen. They notice that. That's a sense you develop for it, and you know what you want to say then. And if both are looking for that, then both know what they have to say and do so that it escalates, even if it's not an immediate clash. And at that moment, I didn't even think about what consequence the court would have if I hit here now. There are children here, there are families here. What about the police? Are we in the right or wrong? Round table, yeah. Okay, they didn't call. They go into the city to get some ice cream and we lose it and almost beat each other half to death. I can't even begin to imagine today what was going on in my head back then. But at that time, it was dead serious. So with 15 guys, we would have fought with them there in 2025, fought for 25 days with anything possible, using knives, ashtrays, glasses, hitting each other with anything we could find. A brawl of 40 people right in the middle would have started a war on German streets. And all that just because a phone call didn't happen. And the sharp-eyed president back then from the others said that everyone should calm down for now. And they took a detour through Wismar. They actually had a different destination, took a detour, made a brief stop. It was a spontaneous stop, so they could have a beer here, some ice cream, fish, whatever. Whatever, it doesn't matter now. And then they just forgot to check in when they stopped because they wanted to keep going right away. And between us, there was nothing going on and so on. And you could even start building a friendship, invite each other over and so on. And then there were 2 or 3 people who knew each other from the clubs, like someone from our group was friends with one of them and so on. And that's how it all worked out pretty easily. Yeah, so then you could see, okay, now it's getting serious. Now we're being taken seriously. So people slowly start putting things back and say, but that's not possible anymore. We all agreed on this together. The region decided it this way. And we just dealt with disrespect, with juries and so on. And yeah, we have the feeling that it's a provocation. No, it's not a provocation. Let's just come together first, have a drink and so on. And then everyone relaxes. And you can feel how that tension slowly drops. So you say, oh, okay, then it's From that 179 pulse, where you're really just one heartbeat away from escalation, it immediately drops back down to around 90, where you stand there and say, yeah, okay, man, we're also doing a ride in 4 months, and maybe you guys can join us then. And so you realize, okay, we've now been accepted here as a motorcycle club. Okay, maybe we still didn't call on purpose, but we were treated properly here. If they had said here like, hey, with such a young club, we just don't check in, you guys haven't earned it, that would have led to total escalation there. I can say it didn't escalate there, but we also left again once more with this high feeling. I don't want this to sound arrogant. I'm just trying to explain and describe the mechanisms. So it's not meant as any disrespect to the club. You know, you drive off and say, yeah, it's important that we stick to it. Yeah, awesome. And if something had happened, I had already seen the two of them. I was standing behind them and I would have taken them out and so on. It's just very important for bonding our group and for the image to the outside to show, okay, they don't let anything slide. Because of course, the citizens, the people from Wismar, they talk, they gossip, and they said, they went over to the other motorcycle club and said, they should leave now and so on. It's just about building this image, yeah. But that's played with a lot. Word gets around, one person tells another and so on, and that's how you slowly build up an image, and it gets bigger and more intense, and in these circles it's very, very important. Yeah, there was a lot going on with motorcycles at first. I can't really describe everything around it to you in detail. Like I said, phone calls, meetings, talking all the time. There's always something. I'm constantly under pressure. Calls, meetings. But I also have to earn money on the side because it's also about making money. And a companion of mine who at that time was still very close to me, Daniel, whom we met back then in the entry-level biker series, Daniel from Rostock, he also wanted to. At first he wanted to join us at the Black Troop, but then he realized that he really wasn't interested in this biker thing at all, but he was connected with us for a very, very long time and very closely. Then he came to me and said, Philip Schlaffer, we need to meet halfway. Between Rostock and Wismar, that's where we usually met. What's the name of that place back there? Oh, not Kruppelen, Bad Doberen. Oh man, I have no idea. What was it called? Kaftan? Doesn't matter, just some gas station. It doesn't matter at all. Doesn't matter halfway between Wismar and Rostock on the country road. Anyway, we met up and he said, Philip, I have an incredible business idea. I say, spit it out. And he says, listen up. I have someone on hand who does. A little bit, he deals a little bit. Cocaine, and he built up debts. He built up cocaine debts, and he works. At the radio station at Ostseewelle Radio Mecklenburg-Vorpommern. That's what the radio is called, Mecklenburg-Vorpommern. He works there somehow as an intern, as an assistant to someone. Assistant, no idea. Nothing important in any case. Just a quick personal note, if you would like to support us. My book is out, Hate, Power, Violence, Mirror bestseller. The brand behind the product king, among the Kongs. Check it out. There are lots of links under the video showing how you can support us in our work. De-radicalization, anti-violence work on the internet, and in schools. So, lots of options. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Comment, all of that helps, thank you very much, and the video continues, and I say, yeah, okay, but I still don't understand how that's supposed to help us. Yeah, look, he accumulated debts and so on, and he says he could manipulate a contest. I say, okay, which contest can he manipulate? Yeah, it's about the contest, I don't know, when you call in 10,000 euros. So the contest is supposed to work like this. You can apply, you have to apply by sending a short message service, WhatsApp, register by email, or send a fax, I don't know, or a letter. And then all of that gets put in a pile, and then in the morning show or during the morning show, they pull out a slip somehow, and then you get called. If you answer with, I'm listening to Ostseewelle Hit Radio Mecklenburg-Vorpommern, then you get 1,000 euros. You get 1,000 euros just for answering the phone like that. But at some point in the morning show, they drop the The hosts eventually drop a code word, like they say, I don't know, 620. They say, if you get called today, you have to answer with, I'm listening to Ostseewell Hit Radio Mecklenburg-Vorpommern. And if you also remember the code word they mentioned at some point, then you win 10,000 euros. They pick a code word like summer. And then I said, yeah, okay, but how does that help us? At first, we were still standing at this gas station. And he said, well, the guy claims he's the one who pulls those slips from the pile. I said, yeah, I just can't imagine it at all. I said again, he pulls the slips from the pile? Well, whatever. He told me how you apply there in that editorial office at the radio station. There are tables, and no matter how you apply, it gets printed out somehow on a Deutsches Institut Vernormung A4 sheet with your name and phone number on it, and they stack them there. And at some point in the morning, he's asked as an intern to go in there and pull a slip out of the pile from somewhere. I said, oh, come on, man. I said, stop it. No way, dude. Never. No, I mean, that's the biggest or second biggest radio station in Mecklenburg-Vorpommern. I said, for a contest like that, I thought at least the editor-in-chief and the intern would be there together, or maybe even a notary drawing the winner. We're talking about 10,000 euros in a contest or something like that. He says, no, the guy is sent off in the morning and he's supposed to cover his own eyes and then pull a slip of paper out of some pile. I say, bro, that's a tall tale. And I say, yeah, okay, but where's the business idea? And he says, yeah, listen, he would deal to pay off the debts because he had gotten drug debts from Daniel. And Daniel, when he was dealing, still wanted to be kind of the nice guy. He said, but somehow we need a bad guy. And back then, I was pretty well suited to be the bad guy. And he said, look, we'll do this as a duo so that we also have your motorcycle club backing us. And they want to get rid of the debts. And he said, when he pulls out the slip, then every time a winner is determined, 3,000 will be forgiven for him. Then someone else at the radio station was supposed to be involved. He was also involved. I have to mention that too. Then we're at 6 and we get the other 4. Then I said, well, okay, but the one who wins has to get something too. Then we somehow agreed on a split that the one who calls, the one we might refer, the one who gets picked, so the official winner should get 3. Then we decided to give 2 to the person who referred him, 2 for the broadcaster, and another 3 for us, so that we end up with 10. Very complicated. But I know there were a lot of people involved from my perspective back then, where I said, okay, low risk, what do we have to lose? Screw it, let's just try it somehow. Still, I didn't believe it. I said, no, absolutely not. So we left, went our separate ways, and then set up a meeting, because then Daniel said to the guy who suggested it, the intern, he said, yeah, listen, I know someone from Wismar. Then we could try it out and see what comes of it. I then told Mike from Wismar and another trusted person from the club about it. They said, he's so unbelievable, there's no way that can always work out. I said, what if that's really the case? Doesn't matter. I called Daniel and I said, listen, set up an appointment for me with the guy in Rostock, with the intern. So we went there, went into his apartment, sat down, and he already looked like a user and a dealer, really scrawny, really pale. I wouldn't have trusted him to pull out any papers. I wouldn't even have trusted him to refill my printer with blank paper. And we're sitting in his place. Daniel is talking to him and he goes, listen, this is Philip from the Black Squad, have you heard of him? Yeah, blah, blah. And okay, then he explains again how he wants to do it. And I say, look, we need some kind of test run. We need someone we can test this on, and I'll connect you with people who, if they get the money, will also bag it up. Because the thing is, of course, you need to have people you can connect there. First, that they can keep quiet about it. And second, when they get the 10,000 euros transferred from the radio station, that they actually withdraw the 10,000 and know that they'll only get 3 of it. That the 10,000 doesn't belong to them, but that in theory they only win 3,000, but they accept it for a phone call. Okay, all just blah, blah, blah. And of course, the usual threats were made. Listen, man, if you mess with us or anything like that, then you're done for. And your debts too. And watch out, then they'll double. Every week, I don't know, 20% interest gets added or whatever.
Everything, the whole deal, and don't mess with me.
And then we'll come after you and your microwave and your hamster and everything. No, it's all good. Okay, where do we get the test subjects from? It shouldn't be too close to us. That's really important. I've already thought about that. Not too close. I talked to Mike, my partner, and said, look, we need someone, preferably not from Wismar, Rostock, or anything like that, somewhere outside. Then he said, look, I have an acquaintance through my family who lives on Rügen. She lives on Rügen and is a single mom, but a bit scatterbrained, and she could do it. Okay, all right. We set off and met up with her and explained it to her. While explaining, I already noticed, okay, there, some wires in her head are touching that shouldn't be, and the marbles just can't find the hole. So it was actually pretty easy. It's hard to say, but it's not really the kind of complex story she had to understand. Yeah, you apply now. You applied to the broadcaster, so you still had to do that somehow, so it was understandable. Yeah, preferably by email, because you can track that digitally. So you apply to the radio station, you write in there, my name is Jacqueline Ronnie Kobolowski wants to participate in the 10,000 euro call, blah, blah, blah. Write down the phone number. You can do it, right? Yeah, okay. She managed to do it, then she applied, and you told her, listen, you'll be informed about which day it is. Yeah, like when you'll be informed the evening before that you'll get a call the next morning. You also get the code word. You'll get everything from us a day before. The only thing you have to do is answer the phone. Yeah, all right, and remember the code word. Yeah, all right, I can do that. Yeah, the appointment came through. She applied there. They said she applied. Then we printed out the application just as she had done it for him again in Rostock. So he had a 1-to-1 copy of that printout. At least it's clear that he looks somewhat similar. Yes, and then the one from Rostock, the intern, called and said, yes, tomorrow is the day and your code word will be Mermel. We then sent that over to Jacqueline Ronnie Kobolowski and were eagerly waiting to see if it would work. I still didn't believe it, guys. No kidding. I still didn't believe it. And the next day the phone rings. Then they said on the radio station, they really said, yeah, we're calling Jacqueline now. And I don't know if they mentioned the place. We're calling Jacqueline on Rügen now. I think, I'm not sure anymore, I can't tell you exactly, but we've picked someone now and it's Jacqueline and we're calling her now. And then they dial and I'm sitting, I still remember in my apartment, I was sitting in the room with a lot of porcelain with my pants down. Then it rings twice, 3 times. 4 times, 6 times, 7 times, and then they hang up and say, in an hour we'll call a new participant. Unfortunately, Jacqueline didn't pick up, maybe she's out or blah, blah, blah. I thought I was going to drop an egg out of my pants. I thought, I'm going to drop an egg out of my pants. I quickly got ready in the bathroom, put my pants on, and said, Mike, we have to meet for breakfast. I have to go. So we met for breakfast, drove into town. I said, did you hear that? He said, oh, yeah. I said, was that our Jacqueline? Did that really happen? Or was it another Jacqueline? Or did the radio station make a mistake or something? I said, we have to figure this out somehow. The odds are too high for it to be another Jacqueline. From Wismar to Rügen is like an hour and a half, 2 hours drive. So it's not just around the corner. And then they couldn't reach her. They just couldn't reach her. At some point, Mike got her through one of our, oh man, this is such a word salad here, like a real word salad. Through one of our cell phones, called from the red light apartments, and then Jacqueline picks up. I'll say it again, the noggin, ding dong, ring a ding. Then she says, hey, today was the day you were supposed to pick up. Why didn't you pick up this morning? Did your phone ring and all that? I'm not making this up, guys, no joke. She says on the phone, really casually, she says she couldn't answer the phone because she was taking a bath. She didn't have it on speaker or anything because Meyer was calling or something. I say, what did she say? Did it ring for her? And he holds up the phone and says, she said she couldn't answer because she was taking a bath. I say, what do you mean she was taking a bath? Like in the bathroom? I say, 3,000 euros for the chain and 10,000 euros you could win. And she goes and takes a bath and doesn't answer the phone? Yeah, because she didn't believe it would work. Yeah, but she was only supposed to get paid for trying it out. She seriously said that. But for us, that was the proof. That was the proof it works. And then we thought, okay, now we have to meet up with Daniel again, then again with the intern. And he proved to us that this trick works. And now we're really going to take some money from the radio station. There was something else going on at that radio station too. Someone who was also involved in this matter was once arrested live on air, was also arrested in this case for pedophilia. I'd be happy to tell you more about it in the next part. But how we later made money, how we made things easier for the radio stations and the interns, how all of that went down, no one can imagine, guys. I'll tell you all about that in the next part. As always, I want to thank you for your support, and also LWG Draufsein Klaus today for the intro. Thanks to the channel members, thanks to the people who support a lot with the book, the interviews, and so on. Background information is always available for the sponsor channel members, pictures, and everything around it. I just want to say thank you, and as always, leave you with an ahoy from the coast.